Hi everyone, it's Lillian here coming to you from Spruce Grove, Alberta, Canada. And thank you for joining me on my Stampers Niche Facebook page or my YouTube channel. And if you click like or subscribe on my YouTube channel, that's great, or you can leave comments here. I know I'm coming to you an hour earlier than I said in my newsletter on Tuesday, and that's because we're having one of those weeks where every plan has had to be changed one way or another, it seems like. The good news is that Harry, my husband, has received word that he will have his hip surgery within the next 3 months, but that means this week has been full of appointments and all kinds of things. So we're just rolling with it and seeing what happens, but we're excited that we know that it's going to happen soon. All right, I'm going to put you down to my desk and we'll just take it from there. There we go. So just before I start, I wanted to mention that, sorry, I just have to get my computer up and going too, that there's a big sale on today. Now, stamps almost never go on sale, so this is rather exciting and historic. And there are all of these stamps. 1, 2, 3, and almost a full 4th page. So they're 15% off today only. So you can either order online, and if you would use this hostess code, if your order is under $200. If your order is $200 or more, remember you get Stampin' Rewards, so you just make it your own party. My website is right here, and that's how you can find it. If you are considering signing up to be a demonstrator, if you've ever thought of it, it is the very best deal in the book. And right now, this month, you get 2 extra free stamp sets. So it's $165 worth of product for $135 normally. No shipping and handling, no GST. This month you get 2 extra stamp sets that are chosen for you, those 2. But if you sign up today and some of these things that you order with your $165 stuff come from this list, you get the sale price. So it stretches your dollar even more. So something to consider. All right, let's get on to with what I'm going to talk about today. I promised the members of my In Color Club that I would do a video on blender pens. So they're found in the catalog right here on pages 146, 147. They sort of straddle it right here. And they are $16.25, but you actually get 3 in a package, and each pen has 2 ends. So you can see these have been well loved. They're stained. Doesn't mean they don't work any less. They work just fine stained, but that's what you get for $16.25. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for using them. So you can see them being used here a little bit, but there are tons of ways of using them, and they are a tool that I keep on my desk at all times. So let me just I'm going to bring in Shimmery White to work on right now. They work great on Shimmery White. They work great on Whisper White, the thick Whisper White, very vanilla, whatever. But let me just show you a few things. So one of the first things I wanted to show you is how you can stamp. I've got ink everywhere here. How you can stamp a basic stamp in colored ink. So in this case, I'm using Old Olive. I'm just going to close that up so I don't put my hand in it. And then I'm going to bring in a blender pen. And I always make sure that it is clean. So I'll just go like that. It's running clean. All right, so there is a clear liquid of some sort in here, and it blends. It's just like the name says. Oh, I'm going to pause just for a minute These are blender pens, not to be confused with our blends pens. These are different, so do watch the ending. These are blender with the ER. So I've stamped in Old Olive, and I'm going to bring in my blends, and I am going to just run over that ink. Now, can you see what's happening there? I'm going to leave one without. What it does is it has taken that ink and blended it, so I've got a light color. It almost looks like a watercolor. So that's one thing that you can do. Now I'm just going to clean that here. And then I'm going to bring in a solid stamp, because coupled with this, this is likely one of the ways I use a blender pen a lot. So I'm going to ink up this little stamp. It's a solid image. And have you ever used a solid image and then got maybe a white spot or two that you didn't want? You can bring in your blender pen, making sure it's clean, and you can blend those white spots. Oops, it wasn't quite clean. I've got some color in there. But you can blend those spots and smooth them out so that they're not quite as noticeable. And that I use that all the time. So if you can see, I'm not pressing when I clean my pen. It's just loose in my hand, and I'm making sure it's running clear. Here's a card I made on the weekend when I was attending Creative Getaway event. And here's that little stamp right here, along with these. And this is from the Banner Year stamp set. And if you look at this, it's in the mini catalog. It covers Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, fall. Your suite can be most anything, right? And all these different images that fit in. So just a fun stamp set there. So that's one, this, and so to blend the colors if you kind of muck up. Now I'm going to bring in StazOn ink. Now I don't use StazOn ink a whole lot, but when I am doing a watercolor type of thing, I use StazOn. I usually use Memento, and that's what I use, again with the blends pens. But Memento will bleed if you use it with our watercolor, like with our markers and stuff. So I'm bringing in StazOn, and just a little reminder that you always keep that little plastic lid that comes with your StazOn. It helps to keep it from drying out. What I do is I put some dimensionals there to hold it there, and it just stays all the time. Now, mine was really dry today, or yesterday when I was practicing for this video. I just inked it up, and with a re-inker, so it's never totally dead. Just make sure you've got a re-inker. So I'm going to stamp this a few times, because I'm going to want it. There's that one. I think that's likely good enough. Oh, I'll do one more just in case I need it. All right, now StazOn ink will stain your stamps. To me, that's not a big deal. But if it is a big deal to you, one way to reduce that is to clean it right away. Some people find that if they maybe had put Versamark or something on first, but if it's stained, it doesn't matter. It still works just as well. So what can we do here? Well, we can bring in a couple of colors. I'm going to bring in Rococo Rose and Blushing Bride. And I'm going to push down so that I get some ink in my lid here, and that's going to work like a paint palette. I'm going to do the same with this, and for some reason it seems to work better when I turn it upside down. Don't know why. Maybe it's just me. So now I'm going to bring in my blender pen, and I'm going to pick up the Rococo Rose first. And can you see I'm just picking up some ink, and I'm coloring this in like that. Now I could clean it and go to the next one, but I have another end, so I'm just going to flip ends and bring in the darker. and just highlight. And I love how the Stampin' Up! Artists often give us the exact places to highlight, so we don't have to worry too much. Now I think I want a little more of the Rococo Rose, or the Blushing Bride, and there we go. So I have blended them together. Now I'm going to close those up for the moment. And it gives a nice light color, lighter than your markers, so it gives a different look. So you could use it to get that lighter look, or if you don't have your markers, this is a good way to have a multitude of colors. Another way you can use it is with your watercolor pencils. So let me just grab a couple here. I always store a blender pen right in my case. Let me just see here. Right in my case with my watercolor pencils. I'm going to show you right here. I'm just going to scribble because sometimes if you have a bigger surface, it shows it up better. So I have just scribbled those two colors. You can see that there's a pretty dramatic difference, and you can see my pencil marks. While I'm at it, I am going to do the same with this flower here. I'll do a couple of petals and bring this in. And again, I'm just kind of not worrying too much here. So you can see that I've left white spaces. I'm not worried. I'm going to bring in my blender pen now and watch the magic. I'm going to smooth that out. Look at how it's smoothing it out. And then when I come back to the join and go back and forth, can you see how it's blending it now? Like that? So let's try it on the flower. Here we go. We're blending it in. We can even take some of that, move some of that excess ink around, or pencil crayon around. And then, and like a paintbrush or a marker, you always just use a light touch anyway. Can you see how that blends now? Doesn't that make a difference? It's a huge difference. Okay, I have to look at my list and see where else I'm going. So sometimes we want a more intense color, so you can either take your block and color and stamp right on a pad, or you can take a marker and stamp right on the pad. Now I don't have a Rococo Rose marker, so I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do this with the Rococo Rose, so you can see both. And I'm going to bring in the Blushing Bride marker, and I'm going to scribble here. So it's very light. You can't see, but I can see it. So what I've just done is just like when I used this, I've made a palette. So let's bring in some Rococo Rose, and now it's becoming a little more intense, I think. And then I'll bring some in here with that was Blushing Bride. Did I say Rococo Rose? And here's some Rococo Rose. Clean it off. Now I'm just going to blend it together a bit. So there. So that's another way of using it. Oops, I haven't got it clean yet. See, it's still leaving ink marks. So I just need to keep brushing it. See, it's getting lighter and lighter. There we go. It's one of the reasons I like to pick up just a little bit of ink, because it takes a little longer to clean it. Okay, now I want to show you what you can do with words. Sometimes you might want just one word, one color, and then some more, another. So I'll use Rococo Rose again. I just want the wishing in Rococo Rose. So I'm stamping it, but I've got some of the Rococo Rose on the U. So what I can do is I can bring in my blender pen and remove that color. That is where I don't want it. So I don't know if you can see, but I've basically taken the color off of the U like that. clean it up. And now I'm going to bring in a basic gray marker, because with your markers you can color right on your stamps, right? And I'm going to ink up the rest in basic gray, like that. Now this ink might have dried a bit, so I'm going to huff on it to moisten it with my breath. And whoops, I missed a bit of the top there, but you get the idea. I've got two colors on here now, and I use this to remove some of the color, and then I used a marker to add some more color. So that's one more use there. And now I have this right here, and I forgot to bring my pumpkin pie, crushed curry. I'll bring a few colors in here. So you can do it when you have an embossed image as well. So it doesn't just have to be a basic stamped, ink stamped. You can use embossed as well. So whoops, I didn't get any ink on that. Press really, really hard, or else I'm going to make a palette on my, there, I did it. And I'm going to bring in pumpkin pie. Oh, this hasn't been used in a while. There, try to make a little bit of space. I'm going to bring in the crushed curry first, and I won't do the whole leaf, so don't panic. But you see how you can, and it gets lighter as you go because it's gradually running out of ink, so you can either enjoy it, the variation, or you can come back and add a little bit more. Now I'm going to pick up the pumpkin pie. I'm going to use the other end. Like that. And as you know from the other samples, once I am finished, I can go back and clean it off and just start to blend it some more. But you get the idea here. And I can add a bit more intensity here. And I am not a colorer by, it's likely one of my weakest things, but these work like magic, and they just clean up so nicely. So let me bring that in a little bit more. I've got some white spots here. But can you imagine that whole leaf colored like that? So those are some of the ways to use your blender pens, and let me just clean these before I get talking again. So I hope that's inspired you to maybe dig them out and use them, or if you don't have them, they're a really handy tool to have. Sometimes we forget about some of the basic tools, so I thought I would share that with you today. Just before I go, I wanted to share something else. I last night came across a video showing how to do this kind of thing. So I am going to be working on a Facebook Live for that once I know my schedule for the rest of the week, because as you know, it's just changing constantly. So this is using the Cobweb embossing folder, the 3D one, and black paper. The other thing I wanted to share that I am, now what did I do with it? Maybe I'll have to share it at a later time. Oh, here it is. My friend Karen Yeomans gave me this. And you say, well, what is it? And it is so neat. And I will be sharing this as well, or doing it maybe in Stampin' Time, which is like my monthly stamp club. So you open it up, and it's a mask holder. Isn't it neat? I just love it. So thank you, Karen, for making me one and inspiring to make me make more. So then when these are like that, you just give them a twist and go like that, and you've got it done. So I've been playing around with a few, so I just have to get some masks to fill them in. So that's something else that's coming down the line. So that's what I was sharing with you today. So blender pens, The big sale is on today, and it's only for until 11:59 tonight, and I would not wait that late to take advantage of it. And there's I think that's about it. So thank you for shopping with me. Thank you for joining me today, and hello all of those of you who found me even with my different times that I posted. Take care. Have fun. Bye-bye.